You know Mick Jagger?
Yeah.
Yeah, we hosted Mick Jagger at the Calcutta Bungalow. It's part of the reason why I don't send my kids to school. That's a very thought-provoking one. It's on my heart.
Did you know, according to recent hospitality trends, over 70% of luxury travelers now say they'd rather stay at a boutique or heritage property rather than a five-star hotel, as long as the story is real and the experience feels personal. Why? Because today, luxury isn't marble floors and pillow menus. It's authenticity, memory, and soul. And that's exactly what today's episode is about. Welcome to Host Diaries, where we uncover the stories behind India's most soulful stays. And today, we're taking you into one of Kolkata's best kept secrets, the Calcutta Bungalow. Tucked into the heritage-rich neighborhoods of North Calcutta, this 1920s townhouse once belonged to a Bengali family. Like many old homes in the city, it stood forgotten for decades until someone decided to rewrite its fate. Our guest today didn't just renovate this bungalow, he resurrected a piece of the city's identity. He worked with local artisans, preserved the original lime plastering, and designed each room as a tribute to the communities that make Calcutta what it is, from the Parsis to the Punjabis, the Anglo Indians, and the Chinese. This isn't just a hotel, it's a love letter to Kolkata. So, if you're a boutique stay enthusiast, a heritage lover, or someone dreaming of turning an old home into a living story, this episode is for you. Stick around till the end while we dive into the highs, the heartbreaks, and the behind the scenes grit of building something this meaningful. Let's start off by understanding what is the history behind Calcutta Bungalow. If you can give us a little bit of a background about what it is and how it became what it is today.
Oh, absolutely. I've been leading walking tours in Calcutta for almost what? Almost 20 years now. I've been walking people around, showing them different parts of the city, kind of giving them a sense of what Calcutta is, from the perspective of its food, from the perspective of its architecture, from the perspective of its street life, from the perspective of its communities, its people, its heritage, its literature, all of that in the course of a 3 hour walk. So we divide our walks into different themes, like a colonial walk, or a multicultural walk, or a Bengali Calcutta walk, or a life by the riverside walk, or one of these themes we pick up. And then we show a person a completely behind the scenes kind of Calcutta, from the by lanes, from the ordinary life, from walking through the bazaars, walking inside people's homes. So I call myself a professional trespasser that way. I often take people and go into places that I shouldn't be going into. It's almost invading people's privacy. But what that does is it gives people a sneak peek into a city that they would not have managed on their own, and because of which they go back with a sense of Calcutta that just enriches them. It adds to their life, it adds to this experience. And we have people who come back to us like almost 1 decade later saying that we remember we did that walk with you, we'd like to do the same walk again. And it's a bizarre thing because I would never go for the same experience again, but these people just keep coming back for the same experience, and I don't know what it is that fulfills their hearts with it. But while doing these walks, we obviously go into a lot of homes and we see a lot of old homes. So in the heart of North Calcutta, there was a lovely home that belonged to a courtesan of a very rich family, and I used to love that house because it was decrepit and yet it was still beautiful, and it had plants growing all over it. It had exposed brick everywhere. The plasters had come off, but it looked so gorgeous in its barren, deserted form that I often took people and showed that house, and I loved going there. And then one day I go in and see that some promoter has put up a sign and they start breaking the house. And that really struck me. I said, I can't be doing this if it's only temporary. I need to have something permanent, that has a lasting impact on the city, on the country, the facade of our city, but as facades change, cities change. So we have to, what is the best of our facades, we must retain those, and the not so nice ones can go, and then we can have new modernity coming in those places. So that's when I resolved that I'm going to find a house, I'm going to save it, and I'm going to convert it into something that will be there for at least the next 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years if possible. We were looking for homes, and we looked at a few homes, more than 3 or 4 dozen homes, before we finally zeroed in on this property that we eventually built into, the Calcutta Bungalow. It's a small house. It's only half a house we've got so far. So once we get the other half, then we'll do the complete project. And I'm sure we will get it, because I've sent it out to the universe, and the universe always responds. So I'm waiting for to do that. But what we've done so far is we've taken an old house and made it what architects call an adaptive reuse of a space. So we've made it sort of habitable with modern comforts, amenities, features that make living there very, very comfortable. The biggest challenge of which is to redo plumbing, because then you have to kind of have bathrooms in each room. And that's something that old houses did not have. Old houses were built in a manner where the entire house had like one bathroom. So this is a G+2 structure, in which it was one big joint family, and there was one common bathroom, one common toilet for everyone. So we had to, obviously, we couldn't afford to do that in a modern context. So we had to do the ensuite. We managed to do that in each of the rooms. So we have 6 bedrooms only, and then a couple of common areas. We have a rooftop, which is very popular with our travelers, because they like to do yoga on the rooftop, and then they go get their breakfast after that. So all that happens in the semi-open space in the rooftop. And the rooms are also themed into different themes. Our first room is called Potwapada, and that's a theme of the Pottochitro artists. The guys who go around painting these scrolls and then singing songs as they unravel the scrolls.
Oh, wow.
So can you imagine the level of creativity?
That's
You first
amazing.
paint it,
Yeah.
then you roll it up, and then you, in front of people, you unroll it, and then you perform based on what you're unraveling. So
That is beautiful.
it's lovely, and that's part of our heritage. So people who used to go to the Kalighat temple, they used to collect these as souvenirs. They used to buy it from them. So that's why it's called Kalighat pot. So Pottochitro is a lovely heritage of Bengal, and we themed our first room on that. Our second room was themed after a neighborhood in North Calcutta, which is called Jatrapada. So first was Potwapada, second was Jatrapada. Jatra is traveling theatre. What in North India we call Nautanki. So in Bengal we call it Jatra, and traveling theatre is again a big heritage of Bengal. And there's one neighborhood in North Calcutta where a lot of our fellow Rajasthanis also came and settled. And that area is filled with this traveling theatre offices. That's where you come and make the booking. That's where you come and book the actors or book the performances. So they have their booking offices in that area, and you get a lot of props that they use. So we went to one bookstore which had all the Jatra plays. We took that from them. We went to the other guys who do all the props that are used in the plays. We picked up those from them. So we picked up like a bunch of things from the same neighborhood and then just put it in the Jatra parlor.
Oh, lovely.
Amazing, no?
That's amazing. So you have a little bit of an essence of how that moving theater is.
Yeah.
And you're living through it in a way. In that room.
Absolutely. So you're living through that. Then we have another one called Boipada, which is about books, and obviously celebrating College Street and the book and the Boipada that is. Then we have another one called Shahid Pada, celebrating the colonial heritage of Calcutta for whatever it was. But it is there, no? It is there. I mean, the reason why we live in these beautiful mansions with Corinthian capitals and with very European pediments and very European designs is because this was a European city. So you can't deny that. So you might as well embrace that and use that for putting forward a modern face of your city.
Correct.
So we themed a room on Shahid Pada. We roomed a theme on Dorji Pada. What the Bengalis call Dorji and what we call Darzi, the tailors, because the idea of stitch clothing came into Calcutta with the Muslim tailors. With all over India came in with the Muslim tailors. Because remember, like when you see any historic movie, you see that people are mostly wearing wraparound garments.
Correct.
They're not wearing stitch clothing.
They are.
So stitch clothing came in with the Muslim tailors, and that's why the stitch clothing that you wear, the Bengalis call it jama, right?
Yes.
And the stitch clothing that you wear on your legs is called pajama. So all these are terms that came in from Farsi, from Persian.
Amazing.
Yeah, and these are what we use every day in our life. So we celebrated that the tailoring heritage of India of Calcutta in that area, which is called Dorji Pada, or tailor's neighborhood. And that's how we kind of went about theming the different rooms, theming the different areas, because we wanted people to kind of come and experience a slice of Calcutta in our property. We wanted people to go for walks with us, see the city, and then come back and stay in a place which actually is redolent, is celebrating this beautiful texture that God has blessed us with.
Yeah.
because not many cities in the world can lay claim to such a diverse heritage in such a short span of time. So when you talk about other cities like, say, London, London's been around for like what, 2,000-3,000 years.
Correct.
You talk about Banaras, it's been around for like 5,000 years. Calcutta has been around for 300 years only. And within those 300 years, we've seen the building and the breaking of the British Empire. We've seen so many amazing revolutionaries pass through the city. We've seen so many intellectuals that have contributed to the world. And the reason why we have so many Nobel Prize winners, we've seen so many things happen first here and then the rest of the country, if not the rest of the world. So many things have happened. So we are extremely blessed to have that. And if anyone is not using that to sell tourism from Calcutta, is just missing out on a huge opportunity.
Beautiful. What a lovely story, I must say. I I mean, there are so many aspects of Calcutta and the history of Calcutta that you're delving into, a lot of which I wasn't even aware of, and I'm born and raised over here. So
that just shows how terrible our schooling system is.
That actually does show.
It talks about the French Revolution. They just talk about the house behind your house, which housed a nationalist who went and laid down his life for the country.
Yeah, we don't get to know these kinds of stories at all. Did you always know that you would become a host, or it's something that came organically into your life?
I've always felt that whenever I've traveled outside the country, and I may get a lot of flack for this, but I've always felt that, white people are fabulous travelers, but they are terrible hosts. Like, they don't get hosting. Like, they're like, why should I be serving you, or why should I be giving you something special?
Yeah.
You want to come live in my house? No problem. Go live in that corner. So they don't understand hospitality at all. And on the contrary, I will say Indians in general,
Yeah.
we are amazing hosts. Oh my God. Like, you go to the poorest person in the poorest village and he will take out the best of the food and take out the best of the mattress and let you sleep on it. He'll give you the best that he has.
Correct.
That's hospitality, no?
Correct.
But we are terrible travelers.
Yeah,
we are terrible guests.
Yeah, we are terrible guests.
It's the world without fact. So I felt that, hosting is something that comes naturally to us.
Correct.
We are happy to extend the best of our food, the best of our bed, the best of our utensils, the best of our everything, crockery, cutlery, whatever we have. When the guest comes in, we just kind of extend that so easily that I think hosting comes naturally to us. And we should not try to see it from the prism and the lens of some French or Italian school teaching you about hosting, because we don't need to learn
We don't need it.
about it.
It's in our blood.
Yeah, it's in our blood. We are the people who are born with the idea of hosting people.
You think colonial India has a bit of role to play in that?
It must be. It must be, because they messed up with our heads so badly that, we eventually became a people that were completely unsure of our own background, of our own history, of our own heritage. And a huge part, again, I come back to this, is the reason I don't send my kids to school is because of this. The schooling system failed us. The education system failed us. They were the ones who should have taken in the teachings of people like Tagore, people like Bose, people like Gandhi, people like all these people's learnings, and based our education system and molded it according to that, rather than following some Colonel Macaulay who was talking about subjugating the entire race. And you see all the terrible things he said.
Yeah, definitely.
One of his most infamous things is he said that the entire literature of the Arabia and the Orient is equal to one good shelf of a European library.
That's so sad, isn't it?
And that's the guy whose education system we are following into the 21st century and saying that we are going to make an amazing India with that.
Yeah, doesn't the 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4.
Oh my God. So it's bizarre that so our schooling system has failed us, our education system has failed us. So coming back to the hosting philosophy, so every time that somebody comes to Calcutta, every time somebody comes to work with me, I just tell them that, when guests come, you treat them like you treat your home guests. That's all. That's all you need to know. Otherwise, just basic hygiene, basic comforts, basic politeness and courtesy, all that, like I said, it comes naturally to us. So we just need to extend that and make it into a sort of a semi-professional state. Because I do not want places like Calcutta Bungalow to ever become what one of our guests said was, it is not riddled with the saccharine sweetness of the hospitality industry.
That's so well.
And I loved that. I said, so well expressed.
It's so well expressed.
Yeah, because like if you're in a five-star hotel, there'll be 20 people doing this with you or saying good morning to you, but not really meaning it. As opposed to our staff, which is like completely untrained, comes from villages of India. They just come in and start working and they pick up things on the job. And they are really, really impressive in the way they treat the guests, in the way the kind of reviews they get, the kind of feedback we receive from our guests saying that, they loved staying here. They love the warmth and the sweetness of the experience.
So, is there like a particular persona of travelers that are drawn to your property? Like, would you say more Caucasian people end up coming, or as you say, a lot of people from Calcutta itself who want to delve into a history of Calcutta? What kind of people come?
See, I often say this that my walks and my property does not attract, if I may use the term from the tech industry, travelers 1.0. It won't work for them because they are looking for something else. They are looking for a basic first timers experience of places. So it won't work for them. It probably won't even work for travelers version 2.0 because they are the ones who are also kind of going for unfamiliar experiences, but probably in the more familiar places. So they may go and do, say, a walking tour from in a place that they are comfortable with. So if it's an American, they'll probably go to Hawaii. If it's a British person, they'll probably go to, say, North Africa, or maybe not even North Africa, maybe like more offbeat places within Europe or Eastern Europe or something. If it's an Indian, they'll probably go to fancier cities, but look for the offbeat options. It's the traveler version 3.0. The more seasoned and the more evolved traveler who has seen the world, who has understood what the world has to offer, who understands the self-sameness of the cities in the world, who understands the self-sameness of the travel and the hospitality industry in the world, who's looking for something different, who's looking for something a little more authentic, who's looking for something that really takes them under the skin of a place, that really unravels things that normal travelers would not see, are the ones who get attracted to places like us. So it could be like we get a lot of white travelers, but it could be Americans, it could be British, it could be Aussies, it could be Singaporeans, it could be Japanese, it could be Europeans. It's definitely some Indians we get also, and but these are again people who are either non-resident Indians or travelers who've been to many places and are looking for authentic experiences. So I guess these kind of experiences are meant for people who are slightly more, for lack of a better word, evolved.
It's like a journey within as much it's a journey externally.
You can say that. Yes, yes, you may say that. Yeah.
In and around the Calcutta Bungalow, it's in such a melting pot neighborhood, if I may say. Right, North Calcutta is the older part of Calcutta.
It is.
So, are there any local artisans, any food stalls, any traditions that are followed in that area? Or maybe even if your hotel has a morning ritual or something it does which makes it stand out from the rest of the properties.
See, the good thing is because we are located in the middle of a residential neighborhood, we don't have to create a ritual. There are rituals happening all around us.
That's true.
So, so if there is somebody doing an arati in the evening and the conch shell is blowing, it will blow through our property.
Okay.
Yeah. If there is a somebody doing that dhuno in the evening, doing the so that blows through our property also. We also do it in our space. There is a washerman, the dhobi, coming in with the thing to take away. Because one thing we were very conscious of was that we wanted to enrich the neighborhood with what we do. So being local is something that is a very strong subject for me, because I feel that if I'm doing so, the reason I chose that neighborhood was because it's in the middle of a residential neighborhood. It's relatively quiet as Calcutta goes. It is very accessible from the airport. Like it's just like a if it's a clear hour of night, then about 15-20 minutes to
Oh,
the
that's lovely, huh?
and if it's in the day, then probably 30 to 40 minutes with traffic. But it's very close to the airport. It's in the northern part of the city. It's in the old part of the city, and it's got all these wonderful things. Like we have a park next to our property called the Deshbandhu Park, and probably Calcutta's largest public park. And that is filled with people who are either swimming or they are dancing, or they're doing yoga, or they're doing karate, or there's a laughter club, or there's a chess club. There's so much happening in that park. There's one corner in which these boys play music and do hip hop. There's one corner in which there are like six or I think six clay courts and three grass courts for tennis. Then there's a cricket club, then there's a football club, then there's badminton. There's all kinds of things happening in there. It's amazing. So every time somebody checks in, we tell them that take a walk around the neighborhood, because we are not just selling the rooms. We are selling the entire neighborhood. We are selling the entire city as the experience, and people do that and they love it. So yeah, the rituals are all around us.
That sounds so warm. I would love to once come and stay. I myself have never even. I've been to North Calcutta several times in my life. I've not been to the Calcutta Bungalow, even though I've read so much about it in the papers.
Please come. Please come.
What is the first thing that I would notice when I walk into the bungalow? Something that would stand out to me.
The first thing that you notice before you come in,
As I come in, when I come in,
is the ambassador that is parked outside,
okay,
because that is quintessentially Calcutta. No?
that is quintessential.
Ambassador. Yeah, in fact, I've been mulling over ways of trying to save the ambassador. So let's see if I can succeed there.
Have you all made it into your own ambassador? Is it like
Yeah, it's our own.
so?
It's-
Okay, so you put a logo. There's
So
a
we-
brand colors
yeah,
and
yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah.
Understood. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and that was redone at the garage next door.
Oh, so another way of using the local sort of vendors.
So as I told you, everything is from the vicinity.
If a guest wants to go and they don't have a form of transportation, can they use the ambassador?
They can. In fact, there was a Dutch lady who took the keys from us and drove all over the city. And we told her this doesn't have power steering. She says, yeah, I'm used to non-power steering cars. And she drove all over the city. I was scared. I was like, oh my God, if she's going to kill people, I'm going to get jailed for this. But turned out that she was quite adept at it, and she must be used to older cars. So yeah, so people can drive it, can sit in it, and take a ride around town. But I'm thinking more of ways of trying to save it, in the sense that if we can develop that into an EV of sorts, then we can save these ambassadors.
Yeah.
At least like a bunch of them, so that
In the next 5 years, I don't think many of them are going to be lasting.
yeah, and it's so disgusting that the government takes out these wagoners and calls them heritage cabs.
Yeah.
What a lack of imagination! Instead of saving these, they
Yeah.
they're launching wagoners and calling them heritage cabs.
Yeah.
I just get befuddled by the way they think. Even if you save like 100 ambassadors for tourism,
Yeah.
forget about transport in the city, forget about anything else, just save them for tourism, because people love the yellow taxi, they love to take pictures with it. It's such an iconic Calcutta image. Why do you want to get rid of it?
Yeah, it is iconic. I mean, when you see those taxis around the city, you know you're in Calcutta.
Yeah, man, totally.
You've had so many varieties of guests in the last so many years. Is there any guest who has left a lasting impression on you?
A good one or a bad one? Because hospitality, you get all sorts, man.
let's, let's start with the good one.
Good one.
And what is it that the guest did that made you feel like, oh, this is something unique, this is something special?
We've had all sorts, all sorts. I mean, anyone in the hospitality business will tell you get all sorts. There's this very interesting oldish lady that came in from New Delhi. We Calcuttans, how we feel about New Delhi. So we already start with a little apprehension that, these guys are going to be trouble. So this lady checks in and she says, oh my God, this is like a bhoot bangla. I don't want to stay here. This is so old and decrepit and dilapidated. I don't want to stay here. So we said, okay, no problem. You booked it through, I think, one of these online platforms. So why don't you just take your refund from them? We don't want to keep happy guests. It's a policy that I've always followed. I do not want unhappy guests. So if a guest is not happy, we pay the full amount and we say, please go wherever you want to go. But we do not want to host people who are not happy. And it's the same for the walks. If somebody comes on a walk and says that, I didn't enjoy the experience, of which there are I mean, in my memory, there is not a single person who said that.
Probably the humidity is the only thing.
Yeah, the heat gets to people. But even then, they do an amazing job of walking with us. So this lady, she comes in and she saw this thing, and then the online platform refuses to refund her, saying that you have no valid reason for cancellation except that you're saying that the place is not looking the way you want it to look. So she stayed for 3 nights. And then the place grew on her. And she started enjoying. She was like, oh my God, these people are so nice. They're treating me so nicely. The bed is so comfortable. The room is so nicely decorated. Because it all kind of grew on her over 3 days. 3 days later, when she was leaving, she was almost in tears, saying that I do not want to go, but I have to leave. That's amazing. And that was amazing because that was such a revelatory thing for me, thinking that, because I'm always like quick to judge, saying that, oh, this is not my profile of customer, this is my profile of customer. But what everyone needs is a break from the razzle dazzle that they are always getting in life. I so completely agree. Yeah, so if you're used to, say, a mall for entertainment, if you're used to a facade that is plastered with this aluminium composite panel. So you're used to flat and you're used to no texture and used to no surfaces. But when you come to an old house, you just get texture all around. And that's something that not everyone is exposed to. Maximalism versus minimalism. Yeah. So if you expose people and if you educate them, then they will appreciate it. But nobody is doing that. Yeah. And because of which these people are all looking for the self-same vitrified tiles. Yeah. And they do not want texture in anything. They do not want plants anywhere. They don't want plants to create dirt anywhere. They want everything to be super sanitized. And that is disgusting for me because that's like living in a hospital. Why would I live in a hospital? Hospital is the place you go and you do your thing and then you come out of there as soon as possible. You don't want to be there for too longer than you need to be. Yeah. And a hotel, on the other hand, is a place where you want to be comfortable, where you want to feel it's another version of your home, probably a more luxurious version of your home, a more efficiently managed version of your home. But you want to feel that, you want to have that homey feeling. Correct. People are not getting that. So they're just used to the same hotels that they get everywhere. So, you know how so many hosts, they build these beautiful curated experiences. And as you said, right, these homes and these bungalows and these palaces, they have this sort of old home aspect to it. And the stay that you end up curating, it is more than just providing a room, bathroom, and a place to eat, right? It's a lot more interactive. There's a lot more curated experiences. So now I'm going to ask you a tough question. Okay. How is it that you are able to balance privacy and connection with your guests? That's a very thought-provoking one because some of our, especially the Western guests, they do feel being made to a little less private than they are used to be. For sure, there is that feeling, and also being it's a small house, so small homes kind of have their own porousness. Like you can see from one room to the other. If you're standing in the same balcony, then you can see you can look at each other. And initially, some people do get a little concerned, but give it a few hours and then they are like comfortable. The beauty of the porousness unravels itself. And we've tried our best to give as much privacy as possible, ensuite bathroom being one step in that direction. Privacy, and what was the other one? Connection, yeah. It's like a delicate balance, the dance of the two dragons, if you think about it. It's like your guest has to deeply fall in love with the culture. So then they sort of eradicate that. What is privacy other than just a mental barrier? Right? Like it's just something you've been trained in, as when you go to all of these 4 or 5 star hotels, and most of these hotels, their dominant thing that they sort of promote is privacy. They have the DND signs, they have those buttons on the door, nobody disturbs you in the morning. It's extremely silent with the carpeting everywhere, so zero sort of acoustics, right? Yeah. And so when you're so used to that environment, that becomes an sort of expectation of many guests. Yeah. So a lot of the hotels, especially in the heritage hotels, who are sort of redoing old structures and building experiences, and it's a challenge, right? And it's something that what I feel when I speak to a lot of these heritage hotel owners is that go gung ho and attack it. There's no point in balancing it. Throw them in the deep end of the pool. Just throw them in the deep end. Because after those 3 days, the connections and the love is going to break that mental barrier so hard. Yeah,
right? It's going to make them feel that, you know what, there's another way of enjoying a
Yeah,
hotel. It's
yeah.
not that privacy is a mandatory,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Something.
In fact, I like in the course of my walks, I often showcase this to people that, when we had homes in the older styles, they were built in a manner that, like, say, for example, when we're walking people through Bow Barracks,
Okay.
and Bow Barracks is what used to be the British barracks, but then Anglo Indians started living in there. And there is a strong sense of community. The reason being that there are many levels of privacy built into that house. So, like, for example, if you're feeling very, very private, you stay in your bedroom. But if you're feeling a little more social, you come out on your balcony. But you're still 2 floors up, you can still see people from the balcony. But you can communicate with them. You see them as humans. When you see people from a 40th floor balcony, you don't see them as humans anymore.
Not at all.
So that alienation comes in when you live in tall apartments and big buildings. Then, if you are feeling a little more social, then you can come down from the balcony and probably sit on the steps. Even more social, you'll probably go to the local worship area, which is the grotto there, and you interact with everyone there. So, depending on how social you're feeling, you have different levels, and that is missing from newer homes. And that's why we are also becoming a people who are scared of other people, who are apprehensive of other people.
Yeah.
And that's what we try and break when you come to the Calcutta Bungalow. I mean, one of the things we do is we don't have phones in all the rooms.
Oh, lovely.
No phones given. We said there's a WhatsApp group. If you want something, just put it in the WhatsApp group. We'll deliver it to you. No need to have the ringing of the phone. No need to have. Because like if there were 10 phones in that tiny townhouse, it was going to ring all over the place.
Yeah, yeah.
So we said, let's not do that. Let's be as simple and as quiet and as discreet as possible, without really stepping on each other's toes. So we did that, and people now just message in the group, and based on that, we cater to them. So there is a balance, but there is also the need for them to kind of lower their guards and just experience the city for what it is, because Calcutta is an amazing city.
It's beautiful.
I feel that no other city on earth is even close, and if we don't, save this in parts, then we're going to lose that city. And I do not, until my living life, I do not want to ever stop fighting for the soul of Calcutta, which I feel is enshrined in old buildings, in old communities, in successful neighborhoods, in spaces that have seen the test of time and still are standing strong, still providing people for a space to come together and gather together. So I'm going to do all that is in my power to kind of retain these spaces.
So, building these, renovating a heritage hotel is far more difficult than building a structure from scratch, is what my belief is, because you don't know what you might find, right? Like, you're walking into a building where things might come out of the walls. As you said, plumbing is a huge issue in the olden days.
Oh my God.
And it's a very expensive issue also, to be very honest.
It is.
In this journey, was there ever a moment that you felt that I've had enough, and and you were on the verge of giving up? What is it that made you stay and carry on till the end and build this successful hotel that you have today?
I've never felt that I want to give up. This very stubborn sense of positivity. Then there is something called, which I was reading in one of these books, it's called an emotional runway. So, saying that if you're not passionately involved in something, then chances are that, if you're just doing it for other reasons, then chances are that you will run out of the emotional runway. And that plane of that business idea that you have will never take off. And because I'm so deeply rooted in Calcutta, because I'm so invested in the city, because I'm so hopelessly and madly in love with the city, that for me, every time I was picking up Rishti's bag, which is called a mushk, to put on the wall, I was so excited. Every time I'm picking up a leather bottle from one of the perfumers to display in the counter, I'm so happy. Each product and each room and each thought process and each cultural artifact and each decorative piece, everything that we were doing, with working with old wood, working with brass, working with the cast iron, working with colored glass, everything is so, I don't know, it's like it lights me up. And these things don't. But the problem is your friends and family.
Yeah.
All around you, you're getting this whole chain of people who are telling you, don't do this, don't do this, you're wasting too much time and money on this.
Yeah.
You're doing. And I'm like, this is the first of hopefully many that I'll do. This is the first I'm doing, and I want to get it right. And I do not want to rush it, and I want to give it my best. And I did. And the result is something that makes me very happy. It may not make the kinds of multiplier monies that people want, but it makes you happy that you managed to retain a part of the city and give it a new lease of life and add to the city's character and charm. So I'm very proud of what we achieved at the end.
Lovely. Has the meaning of luxury to you also changed since you've become a host? From the traditional meaning of luxury?
Luxury, I feel in today's world, it's changed a lot from what it used to be. Back in the day, luxury may have meant living in a palace, living in a luxurious apartment. But today, I think luxury is finding authenticity, finding the experience that you are seeking to travel with. To be like, say, for example, don't we say traveling in a train is a luxury these days?
Yeah, it is.
Like you and I, we can't afford to travel in trains anymore because it'll take you 2 days to get there, and we need to get there, get the job done, and come back.
Yeah.
So I think the meaning of luxury has changed so much that even for me, I realized that when I was a child, I didn't get to travel as much because we didn't have the means. But as I grew up and started making my own money, then I realized that I could travel. And the more I traveled, the more I learned that luxury actually means to be able to experience unique experiences and unique features of a place. And it does not mean being in the self same, what we were discussing earlier, the comfortably numb experience of a typical 5-star hotel.
Right.
It's definitely not that anymore. Luxury is to be able to experience the place for what it is and what changes it can cause inside of you. Because you are a person who's traveling to bring some positivity inside you, to bring some change inside you, to grow as a person, right?
100%.
So any place that can allow you that kind of growth, I think is luxurious. And that's what places like ours try to do in our own little way. We are our own little storm in a teacup.
Yeah.
And we are trying to encourage people to open up and let the place happen to them. And that I feel is luxury by itself. And of course, it's a no-brainer now that you need comfortable pillows, you need comfortable mattresses, you need pressure in the shower, you need clean bathrooms, you need so all of that is like a given. That is not a question for debate anymore.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
we also do the same thing when we call hosts on our channel. First, we make sure they got the basics right. Like you got to have all the basics aligned, and then you got to do a little bit more and make yourself special. So, if you have the basics aligned and you're doing something special, then
Yeah.
you have created a one of one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because 20 years ago, it meant different things.
Yeah.
And 20 years later, of course, we've taken so many things for granted, like strong Wi-Fi, good shower, good pillows, good mattresses. These have all become the basic standard. So you can't mess with that.
Yeah.
And after that is the experience you bring in. After that is the texture you bring in. After that is the culture you bring.
Correct.
Yeah. So yeah, all this combined now is the luxury. And any place that gets it right, I'm willing to pay whatever price they're asking.
Exactly. And I'm a true believer. There must be many, many people who are in real estate, are going into real estate, are small scale builders, maybe, and definitely passionate people who would love to probably be doing something that you are doing, right? Which is renovating old bungalows in Calcutta. They might not be from Calcutta, they might be from Rajasthan and building forts and palaces and tiny, Havelis in Junjunu or something like that. Or maybe they might be from Goa who are renovating Portuguese homes or the Chettinad homes in Tamil Nadu. Or, there's so much in India. Let's say if there is someone who wants to build a stay like the way you have, where should they begin? Or how should they go about it from your experience?
It all starts with what we in Sanskrit we call prayojana, or what in the Islamic world we call niyat. So your niyat or your prayojana is something that you need to kind of think about. Like, what is it that is inciting you to do this? Like, you have to first get to the source of that. And once you've got that sorted, like why are you doing what you're doing, is a very important, like say for example, you're doing this podcast. You've obviously seen that there's a gap in the market that is not catering enough to a certain segment, and you want to fulfill that segment, right? So in the same way, I saw that there isn't a place that is doing justice to Calcutta. And again, like I said, I'm not just looking at very luxurious in the traditional sense, but I'm looking at luxury which is encapsulated in culture, which is wrapped up in the warmth of the city, which is redolent of the culture of Calcutta, of the people of Calcutta, of the neighborhoods of Calcutta, of the texture of Calcutta. So my prayojana was basically this, that I wanted to create something that was redolent of the city and wanted to show the city the way it is. Wanted people to experience the city without going. So a lot of people would come, like say for example, if a rich traveler comes to Calcutta, they'd go from an air conditioned airport to an air conditioned car, preferably an Innova, and then straight to the hotel. Air conditioned hotel. No walking out, no seeing the city, no really understanding the city, or maybe go to a nightclub or a restaurant or a lounge which is also air conditioned.
Calcutta is all, but everything is about it is like smell, right?
Yeah.
Like you walk on the streets and it's just, it hits you in the face.
Totally.
So-
Totally. Some good, some bad, but yeah, they do.
Like our roads are not like Delhi, or they're not like
Yeah, no.
big roads. They're like thin roads. Even our main road would be a gully in Delhi.
Yeah.
Let's like
Yeah. I agree.
so a gully in Calcutta is like a real gully in Calcutta.
Yeah.
So
Few, and you see so many of these European cities also like that.
Yeah.
But the way they celebrate those lanes and the way they celebrate
Exactly.
that, is amazing. So sorry, where were we?
what advice would you give to a person who
Yeah.
wants to get into?
So that's what I will tell them, that you figured out how to make money. You figured out how to build a business. You figured out how to get all the resources together. These are big things to figure out.
Yeah.
These are not easy. So if you figured all these out, now you need to figure out what resonates with your insights, what resonates with your heart, and fulfill that mission. Even if you do like 100 projects which are just for the sake of ROI, but you must do one project that is for the sake of
Soul.
the soul, the returns on your soul, the returns on your emotions.
Yeah.
It's because a city gives you so much. A city or a village or a neighborhood or whatever, they give you so much. So you must kind of come back to it and give it something back in your own little way. So if you're a real estate guy, then you can do a project which actually has some elements of the city built into the. If you are into nature, then you embrace nature into your property. You don't just look to kill nature. It's what we usually do. We usually are destroying nature to build our buildings, to build our cities. But if we can look at these and like try to work in harmony with them, try to work in like going with the flow, is as we call it, no. So if you go with the flow and you harness the power of your history, the power of your heritage, the power of your culture, the power of nature, and you harness all these and create something that is beautiful and harmonious, you will see that you are happy, your customers are happy, everyone involved in the process, your staff will be happy, everyone involved in the process will feel a sense of fulfillment that will be much greater than a typical business that you do, which is just based on the returns.
Okay, so we have one last question for you before we go into a rapid fire round, right?
Please.
And that is,
I can talk all day
I know.
about Calcutta.
And you are such a good orator, I must say. Like your
Thank you,
oration
thank
skills are so good. So
It's what I make a living out.
well, I'm I'm also starting the same. let's hope I follow in your footsteps. How do you imagine, or where do you imagine yourself as a host, as well as Calcutta Bungalow 5 years from now?
One challenge I've always felt is I do not want any space I do to become a gilded cage, a walled garden where only people who have tons of money can access it. That's something that I've always felt, again, very strongly about. And growing up in Calcutta, in this communist socialist environment,
Yeah.
it just rubs on you. Man.
Yeah.
You do not want anything to be. And you see all the businessmen of Calcutta, they always sometimes like they're doing some social work or they're doing some cultural work.
All of them.
It's
of them.
amazing, how the
Yeah.
city kind of affects you and makes you work in those directions.
That's so true.
Yeah. So I feel that, like you were saying about your father who's into heritage, and
Yeah, everyone is into preservation in some form or the other in the city.
and that's the beauty of let Calcutta, affect you in some way, in a positive way. So I feel that 5 years from now, I would want to have influenced a few more spaces in restoring, in helping the place become more accessible, more enjoyable for people. And I would like to work in spaces in more in hopefully I would have at least one or two more under my belt, spaces where I can bring in the city and yet give them a new lease of life. Like, for example, I'm really, really keen on working on a heritage hostel in Calcutta, because I feel that young travelers don't have a place in Calcutta where they can enjoy the architecture, the space, the beauty of the city, and yet be in a budget dorm accommodation. And I'm looking at creating something like that, which will be like a posh hostel, a nice hostel, but still a hostel, which is in an old house with bunk beds, but celebrating the heritage of the city. So I'd love to do that, and hopefully, the next time we talk in 5 years, I'll have that also done.
And just in Calcutta or in Bengal, like you can go all over Bengal. There's so many beautiful places: Darjeeling, Siliguri.
So I'm doing a project in Kalimpong as we speak.
Okay.
Yeah, so I am trying to take all the local tribes' heritage and the cultural heritage and the colonial heritage and the natural heritage and infuse that into what I'm calling the Kalimpong Bungalow.
Oh, lovely. Lovely, lovely. All right.
Many, many ideas.
Many
I don't know how many of them will see the light of day.
And what about the bungalow? You want the bungalow to remain the way it is for the next 5 years, or are you planning to do something new with
So
it?
post COVID, what we did was we opened up the bungalow for local guests. So a lot of people come there for enjoying the cafe. We
Oh,
opened up.
so you have a cafe in the
Yeah,
ground
so
floor
a
as well.
cafe and eatery, which is spread through the property, ground floor, first floor, and rooftop. But I want it to remain the heritage home-ish feel that it has, and yet become a little more efficient, a little more lean, a little more skilled at what it does.
Mm.
Because I want this to be an inspiration for all sorts of people, and not just those who say that "Arey, ye to sirf passion project hai, you can't really make too much money out of this model." So I wanted to change that narrative. I want to work in that direction, where I want to say that heritage is profitable. And I would like to show that. And if I can achieve that in the next 5 years, I'll be very happy.
Oh, lovely. I think we've had a great conversation. And I think your deep, deep, deep love for Calcutta has oozed out.
I can't hide it.
Right? So, more than our conversation about the hotel, I think we've got a solid understanding about the culture and heritage about the city on its own. I think that's so, so beautiful to meet someone who is so passionate about the place that they've been born and raised.
Totally. I wish I could feel the same for where our family heritage comes from, Rajasthan.
Yeah, it's actually so funny because you're from Rajasthan and I'm also from Rajasthan, and a lot of
We
us
could have done this podcast in Marwari.
we could. There's this boy on Instagram, and he said something so true about how the Marwari culture is dying simply because people are not carrying forward the language.
Yeah, the language.
They are not even carrying forward the food to such a large degree, right? Like how often do you eat Marwari food? Right?
We eat quite often in our home.
In our home we eat often-ish, but then it's not something like if you ask me to name 10 Bengali dishes, I can probably do it. Right? It's become so difficult because it's not popularized in even over there. It's something that we should really try to revive, because slowly the dialect, even in the world, we all sort of narrowing down into English. People say that in the next 100 years there won't be any language differentiation because the entire world will be speaking English. And we come from a country where every 10 kilometers the dialect is literally changing.
Totally. In fact, every time we would go to Bada Bazaar, to buy something, and if we spoke in Marwari, immediately the shopkeeper would tell you where you're from. Immediately. I'm like, how do you do it so quickly? So It's so amazing that we are losing that on everyday basis. It's part of the reason why I don't send my kids to school, because I want them to speak.
That's actually something I want to talk about. I didn't know you didn't send your kids to school. How are they being sort of educated if you're not sending them to school? Is there an alternative form of education?
Yeah, so they speak in Marwadi at home, and they are learning. They do workshops, all kinds of workshops. They do sometimes a theater workshop. Sometimes they're doing. Right now they're at the Birla Museum. There's a visualizing maths workshop or something. So some of these random things, whatever they show their interest in, whatever we have a discussion as a family, whatever they show their interest in, we push them in that direction. So my son is very keen on cricket and other things. Daughter is keen on basketball and other things. So whatever they're keen on, we like, just go do. It doesn't matter, because what's life anyway? It's just there's no competition, no. Like, why in our heads do we live in this competitive world where you have to like come first in class, and you have to make more money than your peers, and you have to be successful in your family, and the definition of success is so limited.
Correct.
It's just money, as if that's the only definition of success, but it's not. There's so many definitions of success.
There is.
Yeah, so that's what I try to tell them, that you just be happy, do what you want, try to do it well. You will not become the world's best, or you may become the world's best, but chances are you won't. but do your best at whatever you're doing, and enjoy the process, because the process is ultimately the main thing.
Yeah.
And how does it matter where we reach and what the end goal is? The same with travel, no?
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes we enjoy so much the planning and then the traveling that the destination becomes irrelevant.
Yeah, the journey starts when the idea comes in your mind.
Exactly.
And then everything else is part of the vacation. From getting the people together to making the itinerary. Figuring out the transport and the location and the food and everything. So by the end of it, you don't feel that 5 days was what the vacations was. It was like a whole month long planning before that took place.
Yeah, that's what we need to realize, that the journey is from the moment you start traveling in your head.
Correct.
And once you are done with the trip, then even after that, the memories that keep coming to you, the photos that you keep seeing, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
Life is beautiful.
So now we are at the rapid fire round.
Okay.
Right? It's sort of inspired by Karan Johar's Coffee with Karan. The first question: what's always on your breakfast menu, no matter what?
Yeah, that's usually Luchi. Is always there.
Luchi.
Yeah.
Early check-in or late checkout? What's more stressful?
You have to choose one. Late checkout, I guess, is more stressful.
One local dish you recommend all your guests must try?
Like a paturi made with wrapped banana leaves and steamed inside, and that mustard flavor. It's beautiful.
Hosting or being hosted? What's more fun?
Hosting. I told you, Indians, we don't make great guests.
A dream guest you'd love to host?
Should I say Salma Hayek or something?
If your hotel had a theme song, what would it be?
So Bangladesh has a Coke studio, and they do some amazing songs. Like, one of my favorite is this song that says "Pagol chhada duniya chole," which means if it's not for the crazy people, the world will stop running.
One thing that no one expects but always remembers about your place.
Universal plug points.
Guest if Salma Hayek is coming to stay. Out of these rooms that you've described to me, which room would you give her?
Boipada.
Okay.
Much as I love books, but also because it's on the second floor. It's like the shed is slightly lower. It's got this quaint cuteness about it that I like.
So I think that's about it. That ends our rapid fire round. I think it's been a lovely conversation over the last 1 hour.
I'm so glad.
And I've got some deep dive into the culture of Calcutta that I too would like to explore over the next few days.
Most welcome.
Thank you so much for giving out 2 hours of your time and coming on Host Diaries. We loved hosting you, and we think it would make a fantastic episode after we've edited everything. I hope you also feel the same.
I loved it. It's, like I told you, I love talking about Calcutta. I love talking about the city and everything that I do in this city. So I can talk about it all day. So I'm very happy to be here. If this episode inspires you, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling us your favorite heritage hotel experience. Let's keep the stories alive, one host at a time.